Good afternoon, YouTube. My name's Dan.
I'm Chris.
And we're reporting to you from Savage, Minnesota with Go Big or Go Home Studios. We apologize, we've been without a video for about a month actually to the date. We had a sudden retirement. My previous co-anchor Brice has retired due to previous commitments that have consumed a lot of his free time. And against any rumors, just want to set those straight. He did not have an issue with his contract, nor did he quit on us because of the Vikings 2-7 record. So Chris will be taking us the rest of the way. He'll be by my side, and we'll break down the 4 games that we've missed. The last video we had was the Steelers win in London. After that we had Matt Castle starting against the Panthers in a 35-10 loss, which was very ugly. We did sign Josh Freeman, who started in New York in one of the worst quarterback performances quite possibly in NFL history.
Probably one of the worst game performances in NFL game history.
It was pretty ugly, 23-7 loss in the Meadowlands. Vikings came home on Sunday Night Football, played the Packers at the Dome, and Ponder started that game, so it was the third straight game with a different quarterback. And Ponder was okay, but the defense was abysmal, which has been the story of the year. The defense has just been pretty horrendous. And in the last game that we actually won was on Thursday night at the Dome with the Redskins, and the Vikings got off a schneid there. So we're sitting at 2-7 right now. Chris, what are your thoughts here? You know, do you want to lose out, or you can't win too many if you want a high pick? So what do you think the Vikings should do here?
Well, you know, I mean, the thing is you know, as a fan, you kind of want to see your team be competitive, win some games. This still, you know, this is going to be an easy draft to still trade up in. There are a lot of teams that have bad records right now that aren't going to need quarterbacks, so it can be an easy draft to trade up in. So I wouldn't see any real problem with the Vikings winning a couple more games. I mean, to be honest, outside really the Packers game might be the only real winnable game for the rest of the season, now that Rodgers is out. So
yeah,
they could probably just be 3-13 again.
Well, I forgot to mention the Dallas game. We actually did a video after the Cowboy game last Sunday, but there was an issue uploading it. It was another camcorder that I had, and I just didn't have the right equipment. We just kind of been slacking a little bit, so we're trying to get back on track as far as recording videos, and we promised to have a video before and after the remaining games here down the stretch. So but yeah, the Dallas game, another game they had the lead in the fourth quarter and gave it away, similar to the Chicago and Cleveland losses. So just nothing really going right for the Vikings, except Cordell Patterson. He's kind of been the bright spot on special teams, Chris.
He definitely has. We saw in the Washington game he's starting to get the Devin Hester effect. Washington wanted no part of him. Even gave us a short field to do it. I mean, we were starting at the 35 and 40 for most of that game, and Mike Shanahan made it pretty clear that they were not going to kick to Cordell Patterson.
Absolutely, a great point. You know, Ponder did start that game and looked pretty good before getting hurt on quite an effort to get to the goal line late in the third quarter.
Yeah, probably the best game that Ponder maybe has had since. It's probably his second best game as a Viking, probably behind the Week 17 game against the Packers last year. Just going to show, you know, the frustrating thing about Christian Ponder is where you say, where has this been?
Yeah, the good Christian and the bad Christian.
You know,
yeah.
Where was this? You know, about 8 weeks ago. You know, we could have used it. You know, that's the frustrating part. That's still the reason why the Vikings kind of need to go quarterback.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you just don't know when you're going to get good Christian, when you're going to get bad Christian.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the Packers losing Rodgers, you do need a quarterback no matter what other issues you have.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that the Rodgers injury just goes to show that a good quarterback can sometimes help you with a bad defense. You know, the Packers, you know, they were winning games, but they didn't have a great defense. Now that their quarterback's gone, we're seeing that they can't make up for that bad defense, and their defense is just about as bad as the Vikings.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you don't have that quarterback that's able to just put the ball, you know, hit the receivers every time, it's, you know, you're just not going to win games.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is now, you know, when you have a bad defense, I mean, they couldn't get off the field on third downs, and, you know, and that's been the problem for the Vikings is, you know, they spend too much time on, you know, their defense also spends way too much time on the field because they can't sustain long drives. That's part of the reason why they were able to win the game against the Redskins in the second half was their defense didn't have to stay on the field that long.
Right, yeah, they only gave up the 3 points early in the second half and shut them down the rest of the way. So yeah, great point. But yeah, as far as quarterbacks go, there will be a few quarterbacks available early in the first round. So the Vikings should be able to get their hands on one of them. But this week we have Seattle on Sunday going up to CenturyLink Field, formerly known as Safeco, right? Or Quest. It was Quest Field, Safeco to the Mariners. But anyway, a very tough place.
Twins review here.
Yeah, we're definitely not talking about the Twins, even though Mauer, I guess, is
we're not talking about that stinky team.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Twins at this time. But real quick, Twin snippet, since we're on the topic, Mauer is playing first base. For how many games, we'll find out if he can stay on the field. So
they have a pretty good catching prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. But we won't take any more shots.
We'll get that in the spring.
Against the Twins here, yeah. So, but you know, the Vikings are 2-7 going up to Seattle this weekend. Percy Harvin might get his first start.
It sounds like Harvin's going to start. I was checking that out this morning.
For Seattle. Don't forget.
Yeah, and ironically, that was actually the game where Percy Harvin made his last start for the Vikings. So
irony.
Maybe so you know, this is where he will make his first start for Seattle. To be honest, you know, if the Vikings were having the type of season that I think we all expected, this probably would have been a bigger thing. You know, the media is going to make it, I think, into something bigger than it really is. I don't think any Vikings fans really care.
No.
It's really not anything. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Harvin's going to have the type of game that Seattle fans really think that he's going to have. He's going to have probably, especially since Sidney Rice is out. Also, they have another receiver that's hurting right now. I just can't remember his name. You know, and with that, I mean, it's just going to make him very easy to cover. Most of his best routes were just the 1-yard dump passes. And also, I feel like Seattle made a very dumb trade in that sense anyways, because, you know what, this guy, he's more of a special teams guy. He's more of just a dump pass or handoff in the backfield guy, and that's about it. He's just more of a cancer to a team. He's just going to whine and complain. Yeah,
we'll find out. We'll see how his attitude, you know, correlates with that coaching staff. I do think as far as Seattle goes, they were looking for more of a downfield and more of a passing. You know, they're based on Lynch, you know, their running game, but they were looking for another receiver and trying to complement their running game with their, you know, downfield threats with Russell Wilson. But, you know, Seattle's a very good team, arguably the best team in the NFC. It could be, you know, one of the best teams in football with the Broncos and Chiefs, but definitely will be there, be in the discussion with the Saints and stuff from the NFC. So low expectations. I truly don't expect them to win the game. Just hope they keep it close and competitive. That's kind of all we can ask for right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but the Vikings are 2-7 with the 3:25 Central Time start on Sunday. We can jump into some Gopher talk. We got the Gophers at 8-2 right now, and we're gonna mix it up a little bit. This show has been primarily Minnesota Vikings, but we're gonna since we got 3 other winning teams with the Wild, Wolves, and Gophers, why not talk about them?
Also, this is one of the gains with, sorry Brice, but with Brice retiring, we are going to expand to more than just Vikings. You know, that was something that we felt the need for, that, you know what, why not make this a Minnesota sports show? Yeah. So, you know, the Gophers game, I was actually at the game against Penn State. They looked very good. First half, you know, for Penn State, probably was a bad omen that you know, you fumble on your very first play, especially when your running back wasn't even touched. But all in all, just great defensive performance. I mean, you know, right when Penn State's defense tightened up in the second half, you know, Gophers' defense was able to remain strong. That's something that we didn't see, you know, I mean, in Indiana, you know, the Gophers defense, you know, kind of got soft in the second half and let Indiana back into it, and, you know, and even in the game against Nebraska. So, you know.
Yeah, the defense has been great, a lot better than past years. Gophers teams, and Philip Nelson looks solid. He's really progressing well, and, you know, Chris, this is a very young team, a lot of sophomores on the team, and the future looks bright with this coaching staff, with Jerry Kill and
I think that this is a team that definitely is going to be a contender next year. You know, I think with just adding more of the pieces that they need and getting the experience, you know, Cobb is definitely going to be coming back. You know, Philip Nelson, you know, and even if Philip Nelson's not the starter, Mitch Leidner looks good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this team has a lot of pieces that are going to be coming back. They might be the one team that has more guys returning than any of the other Big Ten teams. So, I mean, this team can be dangerous next year. You know, their game in 2 weeks against the Wisconsin Badgers.
One of the biggest games in recent memory for the Gophers.
You know, they haven't won the Axe in 10 years. 2003 was the last time they ever won the Axe at the Metrodome. And, you know, if they want to win the Axe this year, you know, the one thing they've got to obviously do is they got to stop the running game.
Yeah.
You know, they have Melvin Gordon and James White for the Wisconsin Badgers, and as everyone knows, I mean, those two guys are probably the 2 top guys in the Big Ten in rushing.
Yep.
So I mean, if they can't contain the running game, then there's not going to be any hope to bring the Axe home to Minneapolis.
Yep, just need the defense to be solid, and hopefully we can get the first win against Wisconsin in the last decade. I was actually at the Dome in 2003 when they last won it on a winning field goal. So with that, yeah, the Gophers look solid. The Wild are 10-4-4. Just beat Carolina on Saturday in a shootout. Finally won a shootout, and they play Wednesday against the Maple Leafs. So have a couple of days off here.
You know, the biggest problem for me with the Wild is you got to get some goal scoring going. You know, just too many of these, 2-goal, 3-goal games. You know, the problem is, you know, if you want to be a contender, you got to beat contending teams. And the problem is 2 and 3 goals aren't going to do it. You know, when they beat the Blackhawks, you know, you had to score 5 goals in that game to beat the Blackhawks.
Great point. Would like to see the offense pick it up a little bit. They are one of the best defensive teams in the league. But yeah, you do need to score, as we saw in the playoffs last year. You're going to need to score more than 2 or 3 goals to beat teams like Chicago. Colorado's a great team, so yeah, hopefully you see the offense pick it up, but yeah, other than that, you really can't argue with 10-4-4 at this point. Right in the thick of it, in a very competitive Western Conference in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Minnesota Timberwolves won last night against the Lakers, 113-98, without Kobe Bryant, but the Wolves are scoring points, Chris.
I would say so, due to the fact that they put up 47 in the first quarter, franchise record.
3 points off from the NBA record in the first quarter. 47.
That's a way to snap a 22-game losing streak against a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they can do it again tonight against the Clippers back at Staples Center. So the Wolves are at 5-2.
You know, that's the one thing about the Wolves, though. You know, you know, the one thing that's been frustrating about the Wolves this year is, you know, they're beating up on these good teams, and then they go to teams like Cavaliers and just get rocked. I mean, you know.
Yeah, the Cleveland game they got down by 23. That was on a back-to-back. Cleveland's a little bit improved, but yeah, I mean, you
but you know, in the playoffs, you're going to play a lot of back-to-backs.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know what? If you're not going to be able, if you're going to use that as an excuse, you know what? In the playoffs, you're going to play a lot of back-to-backs. I mean, if you can't. You know, I mean, even the Orlando game, I mean, Orlando is a team that's, you know, probably going to finish at the bottom of the barrel, and, you know, we had to send that game into overtime.
The home opener, yeah. Yep, so.
You know, and then the next night we rocked OKC, I mean.
That's true, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the Wolves, Rubio had a triple-double last night. I think if he can give us 10 to 12 points, plus what he adds assist-wise and his rebounds, you know, I think we're in for a, you know, Kevin Martin. What can you say about Kevin Martin? Probably one of the best pickups of the year in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if we, you know, to be honest, I mean, if we could have just kept Kirilenko here, you know, I think if he could have remained loyal to the only team that was willing to give him a chance, you know, instead of going off to Brooklyn, I think this team actually could have had more of a realistic chance of going pretty deep into the playoffs. You know, Wolves, I think right now maybe could have a chance to get to the second round. Just don't see them there yet to probably make that push to the Western Conference Finals.
We'll just try to get to the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. I think that'll be a good start. And
I think they can take the division, though. I think after the way they played OKC, I know they were without Russell Westbrook, but you know they still had their stud in Durant. And to be honest, it's really just OKC and us. You know,
right
Denver and Utah pretty much are
Portland
are trying to win Portland are trying to win the Andrew Wiggins lottery, and you know, so really it's just OKC and us, I think, for the division, and you know, and I think we could probably I think we can win the Northwest, which I think is a little higher expectation than most people had for us. I think a lot of people thought maybe we'd get that last playoff seed. I think winning this division might give us a 4th or a 5th seed. So
let's play ball. Gopher hockey split in Notre Dame this weekend. I would think still would remain #1 in men's hockey. So yeah, we got Gopher hockey, Gopher football, Wolves and Wild all tearing it up right now. Unfortunately, the Vikings are looking at a first-round pick, so we'll see what happens this weekend in Seattle.
And right now, for the first-round pick for the Vikings, it looks like it might be Brice Petty from Baylor. And hey, the last Baylor quarterback to get taken was RG3.
Yeah.
So
hey, we'll see what happens. So thanks for joining us today. I'm Dan.
And I'm Chris.
Don't forget to go big
or go home.
Thanks for watching.